everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about immigration and immigrating. So for anybody who's thinking of immigrating or who has immigrated, you know, maybe you're finding it hard, maybe you're going through a hard time. I just wanted to open up the floor to anybody who has any tips or advice or anything that they can share. So I immigrated from South Africa, where I was born and raised. I immigrated to the Republic of Ireland, and I arrived in Ireland in June 2017. So I've been here 8.5 years or something, and I actually received my citizenship last February. It's not easy. Moving country is not easy. Leaving the only home you've ever known to go and start a whole new life somewhere else, it is hard. It is really hard. Leaving your family behind is the hardest thing. Harder than what I thought it would be, to be honest. But I don't regret my decision. I am very happy in Ireland. I love it in Ireland. I love it here. It is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been in. Well, I haven't been many places, but this place is absolutely stunningly beautiful. The people, for the most part, are very friendly. It's a very laid-back lifestyle here. There's no rush to do anything. Everybody's super friendly and helpful and laid back, and it's so different to the life I had back in Johannesburg. Not Johannesburg, but I grew up in Gauteng, which is the Johannesburg area of South Africa. So I don't regret leaving the country to come here. I'm very happy here. My son was 10 years old when we immigrated, and he's now 18. And primary school, it's very strange, actually, because he was in a primary school here that I don't know the exact number or figure, but I think there must have been 50 or 60 kids in the whole school. It was so small. And that's actually quite common here, that you have primary schools with only a handful of kids, because it's a tiny little school in a little village somewhere. High schools are much bigger because there aren't as many high schools. So he's in quite a big high school, a very good school. I have no complaints about the school. He's done exceptionally well. He is a bright boy. But I'm very impressed with the school that he's in, and he is planning on going to university next year to study law, which is, yeah, that's very nice. Very happy for him. But leaving South Africa to come here, so, okay, my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and he had Parkinson's for many years, and then after a couple of years of having Parkinson's, he was then also diagnosed with dementia, and I couldn't leave the country while he was still alive. I couldn't leave him. I couldn't do that. So we basically put the house on the market about a week or 2 weeks after my dad passed away. And we both thought the house would actually take longer to sell than what it did. So we thought, oh, we've got plenty of time to get things done, plenty of time to get things organized. No, we didn't. We absolutely didn't. The house sold within 2 months, and we did find ourselves quite unprepared for the immigration to Ireland. But we did it. We organized an Airbnb for 1 month. So we had 1 month to find a proper rental to go and move into, and we hired a car for 2 weeks. So we had 2 weeks to find a car, and we had a month to find a rental. But that's it. We didn't have any time to do any other investigation into where we're going, what are we going to do, jobs, anything like that. So it was very scary, and it was very sad, because all in all, we left South Africa 8 months after my dad passed away, all in all. So from my dad passing away to us climbing on a plane was 8 months. And I was leaving behind a grieving mother who lost her husband of 50-something years. I was also taking away her only grandchild, which was, I think, the worst for her. You know, I mean, it's one thing that her daughter left her, but me taking her grandchild away from her was the absolute worst thing in the world. They were so close. They were so close. Connor and his Oma were the best of friends. And it hurts me terribly that I did that to my mother. It hurts me terribly. It really, really does. And 8 years later, my mother's still sad. She's still depressed. I still can't really phone her and talk to her, because every time we phone her, she just cries. And so I text her pretty much daily, but I can't phone her. I can't talk to her, which is sad, because for at least the first year or two of being in Ireland, you need a support group. You need somebody that you can talk to. You need somebody that you can pick up the phone and just say, oh, I just need to talk to someone. You know, it is so stressful, and you feel very alone, especially if you are immigrating to a place where you don't have any family, or if you don't know anybody there. You do get very lonely. So it was hard for me not having that support group that I could just pick up a phone and just have somebody to talk to. Also, my best friend of 35 years, our friendship ended shortly before we left South Africa. She was a very toxic person, so it was good that I rid her from my life. But again, I didn't have a best friend that I could pick up a phone and talk to. It is hard, and it makes it harder. So if you are immigrating, it does help having somebody that you can talk to. But we are here, and we are settled, you know, got a job, got a place to live. You know, everything's fine now. I've made a couple of friends. I have found, I don't know about other parts of the country, but here in Ireland, it is actually quite difficult to make friends. I found that pretty much the Irish don't move around a lot. So basically, where they live in now is where they grew up, where they went to school. So all of their friends are friends that they've had since they were in primary school. And everybody's still living in the same area because they very seldom move away from their area. So it's very difficult as an outsider to come into their little circle of friends, you know. And I know that there's a lot of South Africans in Ireland who actually said the same thing, that it's difficult to, the Irish are friendly, but it's difficult to actually make good friends with the Irish. But I have now made some friends, some connections, which is good. I'm not a very social person, generally speaking. I like to pretty much be on my own. I suppose, like, if you joined social groups and stuff, you do get to meet more people, you know, but that's not me. That's just not me. The other thing that you need to think about if you are thinking of immigrating, well, we were actually talking about it in the car, my husband and I, about half an hour ago, and that is, would you go back to South Africa? What if your mother gets sick? What if your mother passes away? You know, and the sad reality is, right now, today, as I'm sitting here, I can't afford to go back home. I don't have money in the bank to go back home if something happens. And that is something you've got to think about, you know, because not everybody just has a couple thousand in the bank. You know, a lot of us live to the last penny of our salary. So that is something you do need to think about before leaving your country, is what if the worst happens and I can't get home? That is something that you need to just know straight off the bat. It can happen. It can happen. And you've got to be sure that you are okay with that. So the reality is, I'm here. I can't afford to go home. If anything happens, there's nothing I can do about it. So that is a reality that I have, and it is something that I knew before coming here. So make sure that that is something that you think about. If you are thinking about immigrating, just keep that in mind. Also, in a complete emergency, it could take you a day to travel home. It could take you 12 hours to fly home, or 18 hours to fly home. That is not an emergency then. An emergency is, can I get home in an hour? You won't be able to. There's a lot of things that you need to think about. There's a lot of things you need to keep in mind when moving country. It is a very big decision. It is a very big decision. And try and, you know, do as much investigation into the country as you can before going there. Check out the schools, check out where you would like to live, check out where the jobs are, what is the housing situation like. The other thing with us, being from South Africa and our currency was in the South African rands, we lost so much money to the exchange rate, to the euro. When we got here, the money that we had in South Africa, which was a decent sum of money in South Africa. When we came here, it was nothing. It was nothing. It lasted us maybe a year. Maybe a year that money lasted us here. And that's it, it was gone. And that was all our pension, that was the money we got from the house, that was all the money we had. Gone. So now we have no pension, we have no money saved up, we have nothing. So, also something to think about. It's fine, you know, at least here in Ireland, the government pension isn't that bad. If you don't have any debts, it's enough to live. It's, you know, it's fun. It's not the end of the world. It would just be nice to have some money in the bank. So I do now have pension at work that I pay. I do still work, so I took out a pension. So I'll have something at least when I turn 65, maybe 30,000 euro or something. I mean, it's not a lot. You can't retire on it if you're not going to be claiming pension, but at least it's something. Medical aid. I had medical aid in South Africa. I don't have medical aid here, but there are things that you can apply for. There's doctor's cards and medical cards that you can apply for here. I haven't really dived into finding out about all of that quite yet. Maybe I will. But there is a lot to think about. Climbing on an aeroplane, moving to another country is not, it's not a decision that you should make in 5 minutes flat. It is something that you should spend months thinking about, or even years thinking about, because it's a huge decision. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to put it out there, open up the floor, as I said, to anybody who has immigrated, anybody who is thinking of immigrating somewhere. Any tips or advice anybody has to give, please leave it down in the comments below. And yeah, immigrating can be really, really good if you've thought about it long and hard. If not, you're probably going to land up back where you started within a year or two. That is the sad reality. There's a lot of South Africans who moved to Ireland who's already gone back to South Africa. So, whether it be because they just didn't like it here, or it was too different, the weather, of course. I mean, from South Africa to here, there's a lot of people who just can't get used to the weather here. It's currently 2 degrees Celsius. I've got the heat on. You can probably hear it in the background. I'm sitting in front of the heater. South Africa, when it's 2 degrees, oh my goodness, you don't leave the house because it's too cold. Or when it rains, you don't leave the house until the rain passes. If you're in Ireland and you're waiting for the rain to pass, well, you're going to starve to death in your house, because you're going to be stuck in your home for months. Because we can literally have weeks of rain every day. Weeks. So the weather is something to, really think about before moving to another country. If I were to move to, I don't know, let's just say Portugal. If I were to move from South Africa to Portugal, the weather probably wouldn't be that different. Probably. Summer temperatures pretty much the same. Maybe the winters would be colder in Portugal, I'm not sure. But the summer temperatures should be about the same. But I've moved to a country where the temperatures are nowhere near the same, and the climate is not the same, and the humidity is not the same, It's very different. So it is a lot to get used to. So, you know, there's so much to think about when immigrating. There really is. You've got to think about it all before taking the plunge, buying an aeroplane ticket, and leaving the home that you love and the family that you love, and just leave behind everything that you've ever known. Just leave it behind and start something totally new in a completely different place. It is hard. It is very hard. But a lot of us do it. And like I said, I don't regret it. I'm happy here. It is just very hard, and I just wanted to do this video just to put it out there to all of you. If any of you are thinking of leaving, just think about it. Really think about it before making the decision, because it's an expensive decision to make, and it's an expensive mistake to make if you've made a mistake. So yeah, that's it, everyone. Leave your comments down below. Share the video if you know of somebody who's talking, even just talking about it. Share this video with them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.